Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, as you notice, we're not on our normal recording schedule, and we have a different type of episode talking about why you should join my Patreon and also what I'm offering on there. But first, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. With that said, let's jump into it. So, this is the big news. Big news today. I'm offering a 7-day free trial through Patreon at all of my tiers. Now, I've always said, well, I won't do this, but I feel with the decline of X, Twitter, as a platform, I don't feel as if there's really a good way to get to know what I'm offering on the Patreon anymore. There's no preview. Yes, there are the YouTube videos. And I think they're a good way to showcase me and my thinking, some free content before you sign up. But the YouTube videos are not really representative of what I offer on the Patreon, right? So how does this work? It's a built-in Patreon feature. You go click on the link, patreon.com/fantasyadvice. You sign up like normal. It'll give you the 7 free days. And then, like most free trials, it'll auto charge you at the end of the 7 free days unless you cancel that. So it's essentially the same as any other free trial that businesses offer. Let me be clear. This is for people who have never been a patron. This is not for people who have been a patron, coming on. You know what's on the Patreon already. You don't need a free trial. Patreon will not give you a free trial if you've already had a membership. It's only for people who legitimately have never been patrons. They have no idea what I'm offering. That's what I'm looking for. Those are the people who I want to try it, so to speak. Look, this has been kind of an eye-opening week for me. I do not feel as if engagement on the hellscape that is Twitter, X, is working. You know, I've made a Blue Sky account, and I'm on there. I'll probably engage a little bit more than I have on Twitter. I found that people are nicer on there. People are not looking to blast you. There's not bots, trolls. There's not as much of that. So maybe I'll engage a little bit more on there. And the YouTube videos are doing well. This past one might have been a little bit of a down video, but it's not converting people into Patreon. I have not had a single new sign up since certain events last Tuesday. Not sure if that's related, but I did notice there were a lot of new signups until that day, and then all the signups turned off. Again, not sure if that is related or whatever, but it just is what it is. That is the reality of the situation. So for this promo, I'm going to stick with this for a while. I'm not just going to make this a temporary offer. We're going to see how it goes, okay? If I find that most people are just taking the free trial and leaving, then we'll take the free trial away. I'll say 50%. If it's below 50%, I'll probably stop doing it. More than 50% of people are taking the 7 days and leaving. Okay, it's not working. But if people stay beyond their free trial, maybe I will continue it into the offseason. Why not? You know, we will see. Something to consider. Now, to detail, what do I offer on the Patreon? So really, if you've been following my content for a long time, you know what I used to do, especially in the pre-Musk era of X, was I would go on there, post your dynasty trades. What are your start sit questions? And then I would answer all the questions. The main thing is that I've replaced that with doing that exclusively on the Patreon. So I do that in a few different ways, I would say, of answering your questions. Way number one is just my rankings. They're available at all Patreon tiers. They include start sit, dynasty. I do rookie ranks that time of year, redraft that time of year. Those rankings, I'd say, answer most of your questions. They do. If you're in a dynasty startup, the players are in order. Most questions are answered by that. Start sit. I have flex ranks as well. Running back, wide receiver flex ranks. Doesn't answer every question, no, because some people have unique formats or whatever. But it answers most questions. Most questions are answered by the rankings. Now, of course, some questions are more complicated than a static spreadsheet, which is why I have the Discord. It's available also at all tiers. Like I said, basically it's trying to recreate the community that's been lost on X or Twitter. Blue Sky, I like. I think it's a great place for content creators to meet content creators, but right now it feels a little bit more like LinkedIn than it does Twitter. So what I'm doing on there is it's kind of thing where if you troll, I'll just delete your post. I can just delete it. There are no nonsense is not tolerated in there. There will be no discussion of politics in there. I won't allow it. There will be no distractions, nonsense, or off-topic posts. I will not allow that. So we will only talk about football in there. And I think that's what people are looking for. I think people want an escape. Most people think, and I think this is why I've had some trouble having people sign up for Patreon. Most people think that things right now in their lives are bad. They're bad, right? I mean, most people are not happy. You can see people are saying that. So people want to come to talk about fantasy football, the fantasy football content, to talk about fantasy football content, not be inundated with political ads or porn robots like you get on X. So we have that on Twitter. You can ask any question, anything. I have Dynasty, I have Redraft, I have Start Sit forums. It's all laid out, very well organized, kind of like an online forum, if you're familiar with those. And then also, there's a separate section where you can ask advanced questions for the YouTube videos as well. A couple of other sections, but basically it's just like an online forum to talk about football. I'm the only admin, the only moderator. Like, I am making all of these decisions. So I'm also the only one answering questions. So you're getting an answer directly from me. Plus, you also get to engage with the other patrons, which, can be fun. Most of the patrons I have are good people. Now, a new thing I've started doing, it's also available at all tiers, are my write-ups. I post them on the Discord. They're kind of like mini articles. I wouldn't really say articles. Mini articles are like more forum posts, like blog type stuff. Kind of think of it more, they're usually not formal. They're not like an article my old articles on DLF. They're not like that. They're more of a look into my thinking. One that I often do is like projecting which quarterbacks I think will have 2025 starting jobs and which will not. The quality or skill level of running backs or wide receivers, in a general sense, stuff like that. It's more of a substitute for stuff I might have done on Twitter or X in the past. But I think they're nice. People are really enjoying them. And I think it's a good perk. Again, those are only available on the Patreon. Those are never, ever coming to any other platform. So that's something I'm offering now. The next thing, direct message advice. So this is available at all $12 and up tiers. Basically, it's done by a number of teams. 1, 2, 3 are unlimited. You can ask me any questions you want about your team or teams. If you want to do a startup with me, I don't get as many of those as I used to. I think there's some startup fatigue, but that's something that I offer. I will walk you through your teams. I always say there are no stupid questions. I really enjoy working with people one-on-one. I think a lot of people have, I have patrons who've been there for years. We've really built good relationships over time. So if that's something you're interested in building with me, that's available at the higher tiers of the Patreon. It's usually good for those who really are dedicated to the game and want, I always say, if you're going to ask me one question a month, it's probably not worth it. But if you're going to ask me questions every day, I'm going to miss things in the Discord. There's a lot, 200 people in there. Whereas I never miss things in direct messages. I always respond very quickly. Treat it like a job. Now, the last thing, Patreon roster reviews. I sell these separately, but only patrons can buy them. Basically, it's a roster review of your Dynasty. I do it for Redraft too, team. And there's a whole template that I go through the startup, rookie draft, recent trades, your current roster, projected finish, moves, stuff like that. And all patrons can watch everyone else's reviews, but they're directed at the person who bought it. Sometimes I talk about like other stuff on there as well. Just Patreon only content. I really enjoy doing them. And I've had over 65 of them already. So they're popular, or at least they have been. So it's another feature of the Patreon. Even if you don't buy them, I have a backlog of, you can watch my past catalog. All 65 of them are on Patreon. So yeah, 65 is pretty good. And I've, of course, record all of those myself. I don't outsource anything. Now, lastly, I'm trying to keep this more positive tone. I think sometimes I get a little into the negative on this type of stuff. So I'm trying not to do that. Maybe this is telling me that X just kind of brings me there. Regardless, despite, I think, let's look at the bright side. I think the in-season YouTube content has been very successful. I think we found about the balance. I think people are 3 videos a week for me. All 3 can be successful. We don't have Tyler fatigue. I think that's very successful. I think that's what we want moving forward. 3 videos a week during the higher, volume times where people are more interested. Maybe 2 videos a week during the really quiet parts of the year, like middle of June, February. Maybe we don't need 3 videos a week during those periods of time. Regardless, though, despite the success, the YouTube channel is not a money maker. I'd have to have 10 or 20 times the views that I have now to make a significant amount of money. And while that might be possible, I'm not ruling it out. I'm not sure that becoming a YouTube superstar is going to happen for me. I think I'm good at it. I think I'm more of a podcaster masquerading as a YouTube host than the other way around. I don't do too much with the visual part of these shows. I've gotten a little bit better, I think, of offering, upgraded camera, a little bit better with the tabbing of stats, bringing stuff up on the screen. But no, I'm not having exciting edits or like flashy stuff. And, that just doesn't, I don't know how to do that. And also, like, video production is not my area of expertise. I'd probably have to pay someone to do that. And like I'm telling you, YouTube channel doesn't bring in any money. So where am I going to afford to pay someone to improve the YouTube videos? It would bring the YouTube videos down from like breaking even to just costing me money to create. So, if things continue the way they are, I don't know. I mean, if I'm being honest, like, I'm probably going to have to find another way to make money, which will mean cutting back on the YouTube and doing something else to make money alongside the Patreon, which, I'm going to be honest, the Patreon is very profitable. It is. It is successful. It's not successful enough to support all of the time I do spending, all the time I make YouTube content. It's not successful enough to also support that. But the Patreon on its own, even on a per hour basis, is very profitable. So the Patreon is not ending. The Patreon will never end. At least I don't see it. I don't see any way that I shut down the Patreon. I think I'm going to continue doing the Patreon probably forever. Or regardless, it would be the last thing I discontinued. But, the rest of it, especially the YouTube videos, are, since they don't make enough money on their own, are dependent on the support from the Patreon to continue existing. And yeah, that's the main thing. But also, I promise you'll like the Patreon. And it's not that expensive. People say, I know it's tough, but like $6 a month is not that expensive. I think I offer a lot for that $6. I mean, I offer all your questions, my rankings, all of the blog posts. That's already a lot for just $6 a month. I don't know. I'm always looking for suggestions of how to offer more. But I do think I really offer a good value for that $6. So I'm hoping people consider that and sign up. Now, make sure and drop a like and leave a comment with your thoughts on the Patreon, this video, all of that. If you want to support the YouTube channel, the best way to do that is subscribe and actually put in watch time on the videos. That does more than anything else. It's just watching. I really appreciate everyone who considers subscribing to Patreon after watching this video. Hope it gave you a better idea both of what I'm offering and why you should sign up. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all Later.